so
Okay.
the other two show up, that's fine, we can continue.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's call the order the meeting, and who would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, good.
I can't, I got that last one, but I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good to see everybody. Okay, good. Roll call. Nicholas.
Present.
Sherman present. Amanda.
Present.
Jackie. Not here. Shane.
Present.
Kathy.
Present.
Joshua. Not here. The approval of the minutes. Was there any changes to it? The approval of the last minutes. Is there any changes to that?
I just have one question about the minutes. At the top of the second page, it says that the ad hoc subcommittee for surf heritage and events was approved and it carried 5-0, but I don't think everyone was there then. Could we like go back to it, and does that matter? And it might not matter.
So it was approved 5-0 with those that were present, and then it does note that Chairman Fowler and Member Pascoe were absent, so that's how it's reflected as 5-0.
But if there are 2 people absent, how are there 5 people who can vote in favor of passing it? Like I'm confused about the math.
So there were only 5 members present, and all 5 voted yes, with no abstaining votes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for
I
clarifying.
think it's for the city council when they voted. All 5 votes.
That makes sense. And then my other question was just whether now does that subcommittee become a standing kind of old business item for the
Yes,
subsequent agendas?
it
in the
will.
future? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any more comments? Okay. Guess we'll move on to special
We need a motion and a second and a vote, please.
motion.
Go ahead.
Give me Kathy.
I motion that we.
And I second.
We're doing this, good.
Okay. The motion has been approved.
We vote.
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 All vote on?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
The vote's unanimous. I just want to 5 yeas.
Yes.
All 8.
All, yeah, no nays. Okay, next with the special presentation. Now, special presentation. Are there any special presentations?
None this evening.
No special presentations. Are there any oral communications?
I haven't received any cards.
Ms. Legal Cart?
No.
Any old business to discuss?
No.
Is there any new business to be discussed?
There is.
So you're going to move on to agenda item 5A.
Item 5 is reestablishment of the utility box art program. Staff recommends the committee discuss the utility box art program, provide feedback to the organization of the program, establish a subcommittee to finalize the details of the program, and further seek out funding partners. This project was added and approved on our Arts and Culture Committee 2024 work plan. Okay. I can't read it.
So I'm going to give a really brief staff presentation, and just to summarize what's there, and there's a little bit of a staff report as well for some history on this project. It was on the work plan, and in reviewing it a little bit further, I think the best way to get it up and off the ground is really to establish a subcommittee that then can work to do a call for artists, propose a whole program. I would recommend obviously no more than 3 committee members. I do think this would be fine with 2, although. So there's a couple of facets that need to go into this. We don't have a budget for this right now. There's nothing incorporated into the fiscal budget that's been adopted. There's usually an honorarium or some kind of stipend given to the artists, and that was our past practice when this program existed a number of years ago, almost a decade ago now. So we would want to look to reestablish that, and that's where this piece of funding partnership is really important. And I think a subcommittee would benefit very well from working and reaching out with local nonprofit groups, also seeking grant funding, and packaging something up and then leading it to the city council for final approval. And I think, again, a working subcommittee is going to be helpful in developing what that call for art looks like, what the themes look like, and kind of the phasing of that. There were originally 16 boxes that were incorporated into the program. That program was broken out into 4 phases. While 3 of those phases were complete, the 4th was never finalized or put into motion because of COVID. Essentially, it kind of shifted all of our priorities at that time. I want to note that the first 3 phases that were completed, a number of those boxes have been pulled because they've just gone beyond the normal use of their life. So they are replaced with just plain boxes. So we have those boxes that they need to be reestablished. I also think that there's a number of other utility boxes in town that could benefit from it that weren't incorporated in the original 16 locations. There's some boxes down at the golf course as well as out at Steed Park that could also be looked at, and those are some larger boxes that can be assessed. So I think a working subcommittee is going to be the best way to execute this and see it forward to the city council with report backs to the larger committee as a whole. With that, I think there's a couple of public comments, and I'm happy to answer questions if there are any.
First person, Kim
Yes.
Beaver.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am the president of the San Clemente Women's Club, and last week we met with Amanda Greco, and we would like to help the city with this project for the electrical boxes. We know it's in the early stages, but we're very excited about it. We just formed an arts and culture committee ourselves, and we would like to work with the city if it's possible. Thank you.
Any questions? Any comments?
No, thank you, Kim, for coming.
Thank you.
Samantha, am I able to make a comment real quick regarding this topic?
Sure.
In the past, what have the sponsors been for this type of, or for any related kind of visual arts city improvement type of?
So we actually haven't had sponsors for this program in the past. At the time when it was originally initiated, the city funded it through its own funding, general fund allocation, and I don't think that's feasible at this point in time, given a variety of different budget factors. So I do think that it is in our best interest to work with a group like the Women's Club, or some other group that wants to help support it. That to me, working with someone like the Women's Club is a really good portrait of how San Clemente is. You know, we work together with a lot of different community groups, and I would leave it up to the subcommittee as to how that relationship can pan out. The original project did include the Art Association was a piece of that, of the approval process. They weren't a funding sponsor, but they did participate in the design selection. So I think I would see it as the Women's Club having a seat at the table to talk about these are the themes that are important, as if they're going to come forward and participate in sponsoring it from a monetary standpoint, as well as having a seat at the table for selecting what art is chosen at different boxes. And there were a number of applications received originally for this program. It's very popular. As you can imagine, this is a really cool opportunity for any artist to get their artwork out publicly. So it is very popular. We will receive a number of applications. Any funding organization that wants to support it would have a seat at the selection table as well. And I think the subcommittee that's formed will also be part of that. Whomever is on that would be a key element and deciding factor.
Now, I know you said that there wasn't any funding for it right now, and I know we're thinking about alternatives for grants, but grants can take time. Maybe, I know the subcommittee can probably address this more, but I'm thinking about other alternatives for funding from the standpoint of opening it up, let's say, to artists that aren't known to work with the committee, and basically have a small buy-in, if you will, to from artists that are really want to kind of make it like an inner city competition, if you will, and have an entrance fee, something like that. Was something like that feasible?
It's certainly feasible. I don't know that that's how artists operate necessarily, but that's not how the original program was established. But again, I would leave that up to the subcommittee to sift through how that would roll out and how that would present publicly. I want to stress that while we're saying there's 16 boxes, we're not going to do all 16 boxes in one phase. It will be a phased program, so year one we're potentially looking at no more than 6 boxes. So we're looking anywhere between $5,000 to $6,000. And at the time, I think it was around $500 was the stipend for the artist. Obviously, today that's a much higher dollar value, only because the cost of materials is that much more expensive. So if maybe a future, one of the phases is an artist buy-in, that's feasible. If the subcommittee can come up with the right makeup of how that looks, I think that's an option.
In the past, what was the timeline? Really, it's a two-part question. What was the timeline as far as each phase being implemented and executed? And the second part of that question would be, with the experience in the past, what would be anything that would impact the critical path of the finished product, or the finished project?
The biggest piece is really the funding. How do we go out and pay these artists? So that's the biggest piece. The phases were all done. They took about a year at a time, but it did slow down. The fourth phase didn't actually get initiated until 2019. The first phase was in 2012. So you can kind of see that there was a pretty big gap in between the third and into the fourth phase. And it was really a matter of, there were some staff changes and turnover, and then the project kind of came back around with, hey, there's a fourth phase that was supposed to be completed. So that was the delay in that. But I will say, once the program's up and running and the guidelines are in place and we have an idea of what boxes and locations are to be selected, the program can move pretty quickly.
Okay.
It's just a matter of doing a call for art, giving some time for entries to be submitted, the committee to meet. So I think each phase we would need to allocate about 9 months to a year in timing.
And would we think about, or the subcommittee would be involved in this, taking the fourth phase that was completed and never implemented and executed, and moving that to the first phase and then building off of that?
Potentially, I would leave that up to the subcommittee. There's some locations that were done in the first phase or that pilot phase because they were very prominent. There are very prominent locations in town, and I can tell you that those locations have since been replaced. There's one actually on Del Mar, right in front of El Ranchito. That's a pretty big box, and it's completely been removed and replaced with a plain box. So that's a location that's very prominent. It has a lot of foot traffic. So I think there are some locations that need to be prioritized over other locations, but that would be something the subcommittee can work through.
Okay.
I have a question regarding the subcommittee. I mean, this seems, I think we talked about this a while ago, but a lot of this kind of relates to arts exhibits and displays, which is already a subcommittee.
Right.
One thoughts to maybe just having that subcommittee, fold this particular responsibility to, unless someone particularly here is really keen on being part of this utility grants program, then that's, it's just something, it's just a thought. It just seems like a very similar topic to that.
It does, because and that committee is in place.
Yeah.
We have a subcommittee that's in place already that could probably embrace this project to actually carry out about the boxes, or should we do a new committee?
Well, I think this is up to the committee's design. I think that the public art and display subcommittee was intended to integrate art displays into events. I think that was the goal of that subcommittee. The utility box art program, in my opinion, is different from that. It is actually about doing calls for artwork. It's a little bit more detailed than what is, events or displays at public events. So I think it should be a separate committee, but the committee could decide differently.
One thing I'll share a little bit about the utility box project, which is something I'm really passionate about. I like the ability for it to be, very visible to the community, not turnkey, but like a reinvention or revitalization of something that there's already been momentum with in the past. We had talked about at some point, trying to build momentum towards the San Clemente Centennial celebration that'll happen in 2028. So I think there's if we were to phase it and have it be, each year rolls out towards building momentum toward that, there could be a great collaboration with the Historical Society, and I know they're interested in this. And then just, the process design of interacting with city about city utility spaces and designing the kind of application process and the fundraising seemed a little bit distinct to me from the other charter of the initial committee, but perhaps there could be some overlap in the membership so that there's, mutually beneficial collaborations there. That's an idea.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
So should we see who wants to be on the committee?
I would.
Right? Who would like to be on the committee? Samantha said it could be 2. Anyone else?
Could be 3.
Could be 3.
Raise your hand.
I did not. I don't know. I'll do whatever everyone thinks I should do.
This is
I'm
just-
certainly not gonna.
I can be a third too.
Okay. So, yeah, Nick. Okay, so let's go ahead and vote.
Vote. I'm
Let's vote.
cool with that.
Okay, I'm
So
voting.
let's do a vote.
Yeah, let's do a vote. Take a vote.
Aye.
Fine.
Aye.
Aye. So this is a vote to have Kathy,
Kathy,
Amanda,
and
and so
Nick.
that's aye.
Aye.
So we're stating it. And we got an aye.
Got an aye. Josh?
Okay, so we're all
I'd like
unanimous.
to bring a point of order of Nick's fantastic haircut. You look smashing.
Okay, the motion is passed and the ayes have it. To form.
So who made the motion?
I think it was Sherman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, and who seconded that?
It was Amanda.
Amanda.
Well, I guess the members can't vote for themselves, and I second.
No, they can.
Yeah, okay, then that was Amanda.
The amendment was
Then I'll second.
granted.
Okay, so a motion by Chairman Fowler, a second by Committee Member Greco, and it passes 6-0.
Passed.
Okay.
So,
And I'd just like to thank our members in the audience for coming to this very exciting meeting to speak about this idea.
yeah, thank
It's
you
great to
very
see
much.
people here.
Yeah, thank you.
And the committee looks forward to working with you. So, the next item from the committee members would be the subcommittee concert series and events. So, any comments on that? How's it going?
Well, we actually attended the one this,
I don't think we talked about 7A yet.
No, we gotta do
Oh,
7A first.
oh, yes, yeah, that's first.
oh, I have a question about that. On 7A, right. Shane and I met with the art gallery when we had that meeting, and some of the things that we wanted to talk to them about, like they had a lot in place already, and we were confused as far as what exactly would our position be on it.
You met with the art association, or you met in the art gallery?
In the art gallery.
Yeah, we met with Debbie and,
Hallie.
I think we were looking towards basically the Day of the Dead was the.
Yes, they had it right, they had it.
Memorial Day was kind of right before that, but that one was kind of already, very
Yeah,
close to the
yeah.
calendar, so I think that's the next event we're looking
Right,
towards.
they had it.
So I'm going to recommend that, it doesn't sound like the subcommittee has any updates. I'm going to recommend we schedule a meeting for the subcommittee,
Okay.
because the Dia de los Muertos event is certainly around the corner.
Yep.
And if that's something that the subcommittee has its eyes on, we want to start working on that, and then I can give you guys an update on the art gallery and usage as well.
That'd be great.
Perfect.
Because when we met, that was one of the things we had talked about in the event that they want to have. Remember the park and some of the light poles?
Yeah.
That was used as props.
Yep.
We recommended stuff like that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was, I think that we need a follow-up.
Yeah, we need to follow you. Yeah. So, any further comments on that? Okay. Let's go to item B, subcommittee, concert series and events, and comments, updates.
It's just, yeah, as I mentioned, it's fully underway right now, so that all the artists are booked, and it's been successful so far. Very big turnouts. I really like the Linda Lane one. Felt like the way how that park is kind of arranged, it just, you get a great view of the band, and just really almost a perfect natural amphitheater, so it's very cool to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had about 2,600 people at our first concert. I don't have the numbers on the one from last week, but that's a lot of people, 2,600 people. And then obviously there's the Sega Genocide is performing this Thursday at the pier.
Cool. Awesome. Any further comments? Yeah, go ahead.
I guess just, now this one's underway, we just gotta start thinking about next year's lineup, so.
Yeah, that usually comes around towards the end of the year.
Yeah, so towards that.
No further comments? Let's move on to item C, amphitheater and performing arts facility. Any updates?
Shane and I met with Samantha last week and talked about several locations. And the majority of them probably would not be viable from what we can tell. One that we discussed was Bella Colina. Have you ever seen it, Samantha? We don't feel that, I mean, it would require a lot of infrastructure to be added in order to be used, from what we could see.
You're correct.
Yeah, so I think that that's probably not viable because that would be on private property. It would probably not be real good. And parking is limited. I did drive out Lapata. I wasn't sure which side of the street I was supposed to look at. The Calle Saluda, is that, and is it, so if I went right, like into the Talega area, is that where it was, right there?
It's on the hillside, the undeveloped hillside, the open space.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I mean, again, there's going to be, it would require a lot of infrastructure, but since the city owns it, that's at least something that would be an improvement on their own property. We discussed, we still kind of are wondering why an amphitheater, which is seasonal, versus something that's enclosed. One of the problems with an amphitheater is homeless people. That's always a concern of who can get in and do what to it. So we would like to kind of talk to the city council member, Chris Duncan, kind of see what it is that the council was looking for, and look at perhaps that spot at the corner of Lapata and Vista Hermosa. I think that, we thought that was the most viable of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, of all the places I looked at, those are all true statements. I'd say that I did go to the outlets.
Right.
There is a vacant lot there that's not going to be the hotel. It's not the hotel, like hospital either. It's just this vacant lot that's in the end of the walkway, almost right within the mall. Like, this is a perfect big lot. It's right next to the freeway, so noise would be like, you could be pretty loud there. You're not going to have any neighbor residential.
Great.
Yeah, so that seems the best. The issue is obviously just dealing with a private entity like the outlets and, pitching them on essentially a thing that's, that's kind of out of their usual type of tenants that would be there, so.
They do have 4 large empty stores there too.
Yeah, so it's, in terms of a property, you got the parking, it just seems like the infrastructure for this type of thing is there.
Yeah.
It's just, it's hard to not make this a commercial pitch, because.
Yeah, it's right at the freeway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth just, talking to some representative from
Yeah.
Craig Realty, just just get their thoughts on the idea.
Yeah. And I have not had a chance to get the name of the contact there, but I dealt with the volunteer program there.
So yeah, if you're there, though, just go, there's the Tommy Hilfiger store, just
Yeah.
the lot's right there, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know right who you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Any further comments? Any updates?
Question?
Thank you for starting to do the legwork. I'm curious of the list of properties that you were checking. Are those kind of spots that have been shortlisted just as viable ideas?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had the notes from the amphitheater
Okay,
committee,
great.
and so we kind of went for what they had looked at, and they had not got to Della Kalina yet, so that's why.
And also, even since that last subcommittee met, there, there was some other new vacancies, like the 99-cent store, things like that. And I did actually look at that venue, but it's just, I think there's more challenges with that one. But it is a cool empty space right now, but,
That pizza parlor gets a lot of music going on.
Yeah, and then there's probably just a lot of other businesses that are eyeing that vacancy, so it's a little harder from a,
Is there, I don't know anything about the viability of the old city offices, the ones where the police station used to be that are like toxically closed, but Samantha, is that a property that the city owns and is looking to figure out a plan for in the long term?
Yes, it is owned by the city. They have, city council's done a couple of things. They've gone out to RFP to seek a buyer or a tenant, and I think they're still working through that process.
Do you think it's a place that we should look at as a possibility if it met other criteria?
I think it's another site that's going to require quite a bit of infrastructure and geotechnical work for any type of performing arts space or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's the overall thing. Anything existing right now is going to require some sort of investment. I think the thing with the outlet, that's just an empty lot, so that would all have to be built out.
New
But,
construction.
yeah, but just,
Besides permits.
yeah, all that stuff. But.
Well, then we would have to find out, it will require a bond issue, so we would have to find out whether or not this is what city council and the citizens are interested in.
That's where you can
Right.
chat with Chris about.
Yeah.
Another just question I have is whether there would be any merit in exploring something jointly with the school district that might be able to use like the upper St. Clemente High campus, the old Ole Hansen site, and have it be a jointly owned property that could benefit from rental usage and so forth, and like orient in a way that projected towards the freeway. Is that on the list of?
We did discuss
Yeah,
that.
we can discuss the school district.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's complicated, but it's just a great location, right?
Yeah, it would be a great location, but, yeah, the school district, just like the city is short on funds right now, so whether they'd be willing to do a partnership. You said that they've done partnerships with the city for other things though, right?
Yeah, the city has some joint use agreements in place for other sites, but nothing that has been about some kind of facility operation. We've used agreements for some of the park, Forster Ranch.
What prompted is like how much the high school already uses that parking lot and the expense they go to mount that, all the facility for their shows and,
No.
Well, the other spot we did talk about is the community center. And there's a sort of quick fix, it's not cheap, but you can get theater seats that are on like a riser thing that they push away when not in use, because that still needs to be used for other things. So that is another option that would require probably $300,000 for the risers, and then additional money just to make the sound and everything. So,
There's also some longer-term developments, like with the park's master plans, where things like this could eventually be built into part of those plans. But yeah, we inquired about the old Miramar Theater, but they removed the grading from that, so that's now, we would have to deal with the same issue that Kathy.
some kind of flat inside.
Yeah, it's not flat, yeah, which was, yeah. It's not happy to hear about that, yeah.
Thanks. It sounds like a good idea to try to get some word straight from the council about what their
Yeah.
vision and kind of where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So that's got to make it Chris.
yeah,
Councilmember Duncan.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and set something up.
Awesome. Any further comments?
I think that concludes our update on that.
Okay, let's move on to item D, mission and vision.
I think,
Document.
Kathy, the only update we have there is that we drafted a survey, kind of building on the early discussion that we had, drawing from the things that everyone recommended, and I think that he was open to field additional questions if needed, and so we were gonna work with Samantha to try to work with the kind of city tool that's available for issuing surveys, and, you know, get a draft of that, maybe we can, you know, test it. Samantha, maybe you can guide us on like what the next steps are to actually get that deployed.
Yeah, so I will get a survey out to the subcommittee so you guys can see it kind of in a survey format. And then once that's ready to go, we'll have the link available for the public. I think the subcommittee probably needs to come up with some marketing and options to push it out to the public.
So that's part of what we should think about next.
Yes.
I can have a note about that. Kathy, you can talk and brainstorm about that.
Yeah.
Was there a budget for the marketing piece of this?
No, there's no budget for that. We can do it through email, we can do printing in-house, if that's the case if
We
needed.
can reach out to the SC Times and the, you know, SC Journal. I mean, Jackie luckily knows how to market the Casa Romantica events, so we can
Yeah.
probably, you know, piggyback on some of the channels that she knows about.
Yeah.
We still have channels too, like the neighborhood, stuff like that.
I'd really like to see if Josh would help design a really cool flyer that we could pop in the windows of some coffee shops and some of the art venues and stuff that might have like a, you know, QR code to make it really easy for people to
Well,
respond.
one of the things that is kind of like our imperative here is to get consensus from the community about where they want to go as far as arts and culture. So to have any kind of identity for the community to interact with us, we need kind of like a logo or like anything, like a email or a meeting time or a luncheon or anything, a newsletter, anything that exists that people can interact with. So I was thinking about doing like a little logo, like San Clemente Arts and Culture Committee, and asking you all if you were interested in doing some kind of outreach where we could go somewhere and have people know that we would be there, or certain members would be there, and they could address us about, informally about San Clemente art and culture stuff. Not that it would be like a huge time commitment. Could be, you know, once every 2 months, just something to take the temperature of the local community and have, or maybe we don't really care about them, we want to act autocratically and pound our fists and
But
get things done.
what we want to start with here is a survey that will go out to the community,
Yeah,
where we can see where are their interests, and the survey itself will have questions.
yeah.
Asking what is of importance to them.
Yes. I realize that, but my point is that the more we define ourselves and our identity, the more people will be able to interact with us, and they'll be able to express it.
I have a suggestion to that, then when, for the next topic was future agenda items, why don't we just agendize just our identity maybe as a next meeting topic or something, so that way that would solve, you know.
Right, or maybe it's not something that people want us to
Yeah.
embody like that. Maybe maybe it's kind of a fluid situation where they don't really want to be associated with us on the Arts and Culture Committee.
Then with that said, that takes us back to community survey. We put it up.
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
But for there to be like an active like discussion between this entity and the community, there should be some like kind of face or presentation or something that says that we're like on the job.
Like a meet and greet.
Like a meet and greet, or it's just some kind
Meetings are
of,
for as well. I think the marketing, the mission and vision, and the survey can incentivize people to come to the committee meetings.
My whole point is that the city council is juicing us for ideas like human matrix. Why don't we do that to everyone else, as opposed to just kind of, you know, I understand that the meetings are for that, but like, I don't care. Go ahead.
No.
I agree, Josh, like listening to the community and kind of, you know, trying to bubble up and find what the ideas are for the hopes, is like the goal.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a thing now called the San Clemente Art and Culture Committee, so we should probably have like some kind of identity that we can reflect to the community. Unless that's stupid, I mean, I don't know.
Is it
No,
permissible?
Is it even appropriate?
Yeah, is it permissible to have our own logo? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, is it something you would be happy to design for us?
Yeah, I just need to know if that's something that is something that we want to do, or if that's something that's not appropriate for the.
Can I?
I was going to say, I would like to concur to Samantha on this to see if it's appropriate for us to even be able to design and develop a logo for our committee to establish an identity so we can actually interface the outward facing with the public.
Commissions and committees don't typically have logos. You act as a body, an official body of the city of San Clemente, so typically we're going to use the city seal on information as it's distributed out. I think Amanda's idea is artwork that can help draw people in, some kind of poster or artwork that we can encourage people to go online to use the survey and then go from there. I also understand that branding is very important, but I don't know that we're looking to brand the Arts and Culture Committee. That's not part of the work plan this year.
So with that said, I think I might have a solution for us to be outward facing towards the community. And that would, you can give me guidance on this, Samantha. It's basically to have a town hall and invite people to this meeting so we can actually meet them and have our own town hall. Because we look at all those seats sitting right there. All we gotta do is invite people and see who will come. And kind of roll like that for a while.
That is a great idea. That is a great idea. I think what Samantha's trying to say is that those kinds of like creative kind of interactions that we're thinking, that you and I are thinking of, are maybe not so much done in this setting.
Right.
And so that we should probably stick to the poll or whatever, and just use the traditional city kind of machine, so to speak, and figure out like exactly more of what they want from us as opposed to.
Do we have is there a model in place used for a town hall meeting? Because we're still operating under the cloak of the city. You know, we are part of the city and not an individual entity. So, is that anything like that?
Wait, can I jump in for just a minute? I want to like name two things. One is that communities have opened to come to these meetings, but I think they don't know about us yet.
Right.
So one idea would be to part of what I like about utility box program or getting this survey out into the community is that they're both stories, right? Like we can ideally get a story in the paper, we can talk to our friends and distribute through the relationships that we have. Like we're doing a couple things. These are two of the like ways that you can get involved, or like both of them have things people could do, right? They can forward it to an artist they know, or they can sponsor it if they want to pay for the box, or they can like put their dreams for San Clemente Arts and Culture for their family in the future in the survey. So I like it because there are ways where people can actually like they can contribute, and we can also say like we meet the third Monday. Is it third Monday of every month or every other month? Like join our meetings, right? Or there's a way that we maybe can like.
Exactly.
I think for the most part, we've just been invisible so far, so my thought is that, like, getting the survey out there, announcing the utility box program are gonna be too early, early news flashes. Hey, we're here, and I think we'll start getting more people to, and then of course, all of us, it's our job to, like, meet with folks, right? I mean, that was, because I heard through the grapevine they wanted to be involved in arts and culture, so I met with them. It was kind of fun. It was like my first time saying, like, I'm here in this capacity, what are you interested in, what do you want? So I think that we can all get a little more comfortable maybe with how to do that. And then, maybe one day we need a town hall too, but like first let's get people to show up when they have stuff they're excited about that we're doing.
To piggyback off of that, then another tool we should think about using would be a press release. Send out a press release to media, like San Clemente Times, and to So on a press release saying, listen, this is a committee, who we are.
Since I'm on both the survey committee and the utility box committee, that'll be a part of what I'm putting into the work plan. Or
Excellent.
like our strategic plan will be, who will distribute, how will make sure the word gets out. If we want to have flyers and windows of coffee shops and arts places, like I think that's a different strategy, but I like it because it would be a little less, I think that there's a certain demographic that reads our papers, and then we also want stuff that'll go on Instagram, and we also want stuff that'll, be where like there's foot traffic. But I'll think about what we can send me ideas if you have them for those things, or,
Yeah.
when subcommittees, let's talk about what does that marketing plan look like? And we may need them to be formal press releases, but I did this when I worked at the Casa Romantica. I mean, the San Clemente is small enough that you can email Don Kindred and get in this SE Journal, or you can email Jake Garrett and you can get in the paper. I mean, it's not that formal in some ways, like if you have it clear.
Yeah, I have full trust in the mission and vision subcommittee. I mean, this is essentially what their role is to do, so you guys will just tap into us.
I get the conversation going, get people excited. Because I kind of think that the mission vision part of it, we've already done that now, but now it's how do we,
Execute it.
Executing it.
Yeah.
Samantha,
But I didn't mean to cut, did I cut off you, Samantha, or?
Well, I can answer Sherman's question for a town hall, just so you know, anytime this committee convenes, we're going to have to publicly notice it. There has to be an agenda posted, and we have to have specific topics that we're focused on. So if the committee wants to talk and hear more specifically from the public about the public's vision for arts and culture, then we would need to post an agenda specific to that. So that goes back to Amanda's point of, we just need to make people aware that this is even an avenue we're going down at this point. Typically, town hall meetings, depending on the format, if it's just about bringing the public together to hear their feedback, those are typically staff-driven. That allows staff to kind of gather people in the same room, get all the feedback, and then present an idea or concept back to the council or a committee or commission. If they're not staff-driven and the committee wants to be there, again, we have to do a full agenda and a posting. There has to be minutes and recordings taken.
Okay.
So
with that said,
are we permitted to put things on social media, or does that have to go through someone at the city that's PR or marketing?
So, yes, if once the survey is put together, I do envision that as something that can be rolled out and we can push through social media, just as we do surveys for playgrounds or surveys for events, things like that. We always want to get the public's feedback. And again, as this is a established city committee, we would want to do the same for the survey that goes out as well.
Is there anything else you need from us, Samantha, on that item?
No, I'll circle back with the subcommittee towards the end of the week with a link for you guys to check out that survey. And then once it's live, I'll send an email to the entire committee, as it's now on public display. Everybody can pitch in and push it out as well to their
Quick question.
networks.
How's our timing to try and get in the autumn rec catalog?
That went to print, so you just missed it.
Okay,
Yeah, that's already at the printer.
I figured it was imminent.
so just to recap, any ideas we have, we just push them over to you guys and go from there.
That'd be, to us, or I think you have to go through Samantha?
Yeah, you'll want to send that to myself and Debbie. We didn't receive any feedback from the last meeting, so at this point, we're considering the survey. Nobody had any other ideas that they wanted to make sure were included, and I do think the survey is really well-rounded and covers all the areas needed, so
Okay.
let's see how it goes. We can always do an additional survey later if that's the case.
Yeah, but if it's already rolling, we wouldn't want to impede it.
Yeah.
Make sure we go. Okay, any further comments? Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job on it. Okay. So, all right, excellent. Now, as far as the future items, do you feel one?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was, I was just mentioning if we wanted to have a further discussion about the identity of the actual committee, but I mean, I think we just addressed that. I don't really see the need to maybe agendize it at this point.
So I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the identity technically was what we put in our mission statement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. That was just if we wanted to have a really
Yeah. Can you hear?
I couldn't hear, I'm sorry.
Oh, we were just talking about the future item, we'll kind of like address that already.
Yeah.
And so I'm still shaming down the committee, so.
Is it appropriate to have something that maybe, I know you're talking about the arts at the Dia de Muerte, to have a booth there
Oh,
that we staff?
Samantha?
Certainly, we've seen committees have booths, that would have to be, the committee would need to be there, and you would have to select which committee members will be present to share information. Obviously, we can't have all 7 members.
Right.
You can have up to 3, but I would really steer towards 2, because 3 people in a booth is oftentimes intimidating for somebody to come up.
And we wouldn't want to violate Brown Act, do we?
Correct. And if that's something the committee wants to decide, that would probably be something the subcommittee could stand at, if that's the case. But if you want to put that on the next agenda to talk about who can be at that event, welcome to do that.
Do you guys want to do that? Actually, put it on the agenda to talk about who's going to be there.
I don't even know when it is, so.
November.
November 1st.
So we'll put that on future.
But that would be good. Also, there's the Blitz.
Buddy on the Blitz, yeah, that's,
Beginning of December, it's usually the first Saturday.
yeah, that's, we haven't heard anything further, or at least for the art committee on that. I think that's, Parks and Recs will reach out to us on that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anyone have any future agenda items?
In future, didn't I? Okay. So we'll move on.
Sherman, if I can, 6A, I did have one quick update under staff communications, just for the good of the order. I want to note that typically after July 1st, this is considered the first meeting of the new year, and we would normally have new committee members that would have just been appointed. Because this committee stood up at the beginning of the year, we're kind of off cycle from the other committees and commissions. But I note that this time next year would be the time that we would be reselecting a chair and vice chair. But we're going to kind of bypass that and give, as long as Sherman and Shane are good to continue as chair and vice chair, we will continue forward through the end of June next year, and then reselect at July 1st, at our next July meeting.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any additional comments on anything? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. With that, is there a second?
I'll second.
Heard.
Right.
Did you say this at the same time?
Okay, and then we'll have to vote.
Just vote.
All right, let's take a vote on it. Adjourn. Aye. Aye. It's unanimous? All ayes, no nays. The meeting is adjourned.